How's it going, dudes? This week's podcast, I brought Matt back. This podcast is a little bit more focused than our last one. I know me and Matt, when we're together, we have a hard time staying on one subject or anything, but we're getting better. We talk about various video game stuff. It's a real nerdy podcast today, but I always love talking to Matt. He's a good dude. He's one of the guys that I can be myself the most around. Him and Jake and some other friends that I want to have on the podcast sometime. But that's today's podcast. It's me and Matt just talking for about an hour and a half or so. Take care. Have a good day. Buttons.
The Magic School Bus.
Magic School Bus. I've not thought about that show in a bit.
You also know other show I haven't thought about in a little bit?
What?
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye.
I've thought about Bill Nye because every now and again he comes up in the news and it's just like doing like very vulgar, like the PSA thing or whatever he does, where it's like he's talking about global warming and then he sets the globe on fire and he's just like, the planet's on fucking fire.
Edgy Bill Nye, it's great.
No, Magic School Bus that's a trippy show, if anything else. I don't think I only ever really watched it like during school because I don't remember ever coming on anything, or like I remember VHSs of it and that's about it.
I think I watched it when I was younger. The only episode I ever remember was the episode when with the episode. That episode played a lot. Oh, has the podcast started, by the way?
Yeah, we just probably.
Cool.
I don't know. Future me will decide that.
I'm glad that the podcast started on us talking about Magic School Bus.
Yeah, it probably did.
Oh, yeah, you said you pressed the magic button, and I was like, oh, Magic School Bus. That's how that conversation went down. Okay,
that is cool. A problem for me in the future, to decide when the podcast starts and when it ends.
What's up, people?
That's become my new thing lately, where I've just, anytime I'm like, I don't want to deal with this, I just quietly say to myself, this is a problem for future me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll have to deal with this probably within the next 24 hours, but it's not going to bother me now. That's how we streamline the podcast or anything we do. It's just like, fix it in post. Fix everything we do.
I have a bad habit of getting lazy when I edit sometimes, so I'll be like, edit this out, future me, and then future me's kind of like, fuck you, I won't, and I'll just leave it in because I'm lazy.
You spite yourself.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate extreme of like, don't tell me what to do, but it's yourself. I can't even tell me what to do.
Matt. Tell me to do past Matt.
No, I take.
I'm older than you.
We've structured all of like the podcast and stuff in such a way that it is just like as easy as an edit as I can possibly do. Especially the commentaries. Those things are this podcast takes a little bit more effort, but the commentaries, it's pathetically easy because I can't change anything about that would change the time for those, because then that messes with how the audience syncs with it.
Okay.
That makes sense. So like once it starts, it goes, and it's the half hour or 2 hour, however long, whatever we're talking about is. And I've noticed the whole reason I wanted to start doing this is because like it's good practice, it's good comedy practice, it's good graphics practice, it's good editing practice, it's good for everything I like doing. And I've noticed my thumbnail skills have improved.
Yeah, you make. What?
Go ahead.
So you're making some pretty baller thumbnails, especially the WandaVision thumbnails.
The WandaVision thumbnails are a lot of fun to do because it's just like every week around the same time you're gonna see, if some FBI agent is looking at my Google search history, you're gonna see me put in like WandaVision episode whatever we're on, and then 1920 by 1080 image because that's the resolution for it for the thumbnail. But the problem with that is especially with YouTube thumbnails, the audio platforms, I don't have to worry about it because it's just the logo thing every week. There's not like a visual thumbnail. It's just titles for them.
Okay.
The thing with YouTube thumbnails is they get so compressed that like anytime I'm looking at it like in Photoshop and I'm like, this probably isn't gonna look that good, or I need to change this or that, or maybe someone will notice this flaw. They never show up because it's such a small image and it's so compressed by the time I export it from Photoshop and upload it to YouTube that it does not matter. So I always have that problem of overdoing what's needed for that. Like for those She-Ra commentaries me and Jake did, the for some reason Photoshop's quick selection and lasso tools and stuff did not want to work with the line art on those. So for the second episode, whichever one I put Catra in the thumbnail, I had to redo a bunch of the outer line work in Photoshop. So I had to just redo the line work on the outer sides, and you can't tell, but like it is one of those minor things I had to do because it was like I either have to sit here and cut this out by hand for a bit, or I can just do it the easy way and then fix the mistakes. I can put lipstick on the pig.
When in doubt, easy way out.
I mean, yeah, that's the way we've been doing pretty much everything. And it's not to say I'm not taking pride in what I put out. I absolutely am. It's just I'm the type of person that if I focus so much, I'm a perfectionist. So if I've learned to have to teach myself that like what makes something beautiful is its imperfections. That's what makes something. That's a philosophy I go by on a lot of things, and I'll tell that to other people, but I can never apply it to myself. So I've been trying to learn to apply it to myself.
You'll never be happy with what you do, and if you're ever happy with what you do, then you're doing it wrong.
Exactly. Anytime I've ever drawn something, I'll go back the next week and be like, "Oh, that's hideous."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, that's just art in general. It's so like you could take pride after you do it. You know, like I've drawn some stuff, and I'm not really a good drawer, but I've drawn some like hell yeah, I like this, and then like 20 minutes later, be like, ew. Like the videos, but
I feel like me, you, and Jake are all like a 3-sided coin that all like, or like basically where it's like we each, or like a Venn diagram where like we're all in the same broad category of like making stuff and artistry and acting and stuff, but like we all have the aspects that we focus on the most, and mine is like drawing, and then Jake's is acting, and yours is video and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but we all overlap into the other.
It's funny. Yeah, it's very funny. I mean, mine's more or less VFX and just video editing in general, and then just regular content creation. But yeah,
I just spilled water all over myself.
Have you seen my 3D art?
I have not. You should send that to me.
Yeah, there are some of them. I think a few of them are on my Instagram.
Are they?
I think. Yeah.
Plug the Instagram.
Maybe like 1 or 2.
Plug the Instagram, Matt.
Oh! I got you.
I'm giving you flawless execution here.
No. Listen.
I'm sitting here like
it wasn't 100% flawless execution because I wasn't paying attention. I thought you meant like
this is the equivalent of when like your buddy's like, I'm gonna ask this girl out, and then you're like on the sidelines like nudging him like, go do it, dude.
Yeah.
I I
You're talking up him in front of the girl, and like your buddy's just staring at you, like not even understand what you're doing. You're just like, dude, like you're like you
giving
doing
thumbs
like
up.
yeah, you're doing like the eye movement, and like go get it.
That head nod.
The head nod, yeah, like that. Come on, come on, come on.
I've got a foam finger, and it's just like, yeah, you're number one. And fell on his face.
I can plug my Instagram. It's gonna be kind of hard to plug because that's my last name, and it's like impossible to spell. I'll just spell it out.
I'll link it if it's. I'll link it. Just say it, and I'll link it later.
It's M Schweiker.
Schweiker.
I'll send it to you.
It's in the title. It's down below the video, probably. So, either of those work. I was talking about like your buddy and relationship stuff. I had a professor who he told we were going through like we were talking about it was an acting class, and we were talking about like I can't even remember. I think it had something to do with GOAT and like the order in which you go through and analyze a character and stuff, and comparing that to like the traditional old-fashioned way that like people fell in love and got married and stuff, and like the order of operations they did there. Now granted, today it's much different. It's like all over the place different, but what it devolved into was just all of us like talking about like the poor mistakes we made like when you're first learning how to date people and do stuff. Like he went through everyone. It's like, what's your ideal date? And then it was like, I know the answer to this. My ideal date would definitely be like coffee at lunchtime, sometime around there, midday-ish if possible, or late or early to mid afternoon. The thing that was he talked about being the worst possible date is a movie. A movie is the worst date you can take someone on for the first date.
Oh, I was gonna say, I mean, not worst date, but for a first date, no, absolutely not. Do not a new movie.
And we just started laughing because it was like, he was like, I was like, you know why I know that? Because I did that shit. You know?
Yeah, it completely neglects like the get to know each other part. You're just sitting there watching, and it's like, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, you're not comfortable enough to like do stuff either.
No.
So you're just sitting there in silence in a movie. Like silence and also the what's playing. You're sitting there in silence, basically. You're both awkwardly standing like, do I do something? I can't really talk about it. No, yeah. People who do movie dates for their first dates just don't.
It's a bad idea. PSA to the people younger than us. Do not. Good. What?
Go ahead. I don't know why I'm normally so professional about not interrupting people.
No, here's the thing. I'm the one interrupting you mostly. But and the weird thing is with doing these podcasts over Discord is like we have no visual cue of when the person is about to start talking. But what?
See, okay, yeah,
this is what keeps happening.
We need to start like if we're gonna do this and like you're doing like it's gonna be over Discord, there needs to be web cameras on.
Yeah,
even if we're not recording the web cameras, there needs to be web cameras on. Because it's so hard to do a podcast and not on a Discord and not talk over somebody. Because like you said, there's no visual cues. You don't know when they're gonna be done talking. People take pauses. you gotta sit there wait for the long pause. Like,
and it's like, has Discord gone out? Is my internet dying? What is happening?
What I was gonna say about the first date thing is that like a good rule of thumb of first date is something with minimal physical activity but also has physical. Like you don't want anything super physical intensive, but like mini golf's always a great first date. It's a very playful date.
Matt, you're gonna laugh. That's exactly what the professor said to do. Like mini golf.
Dude, mini golf's a great because it's like something everybody loves. No one hates mini golf. Not everybody like loves it, but like people like I can do mini golf.
Mini golf is one of those things people are at least contempt with,
Dinner. Sorry, go ahead.
And like if you live in an area like Florida, or if you're there's definitely different mini golf hotspots around the world.
Oh yeah.
Like, have you ever been to Myrtle Beach?
I don't think I have. No.
Myrtle Beach. I don't want to trash Myrtle Beach, but it's the best way to say what it is it's the Florida of South Carolina.
Dude,
it's like if you took a piece of Florida and then like just stuck it onto this triangular state.
When people say like I don't want to trash or like I don't want to, it's like saying like no offense, like you're about to say some really offensive shit.
Oh yeah, you know what? Let me be honest. Myrtle Beach is a shithole. I despise that part of that state. It is because it's like it's an area that like it's a complete tourist trap, and it's the only part of that state that's anyway a tourist trap. It's not like Florida, where it's like the whole place is basically a vacation spot. Or if you go to LA and you do all the touristy shit there, it's not. It's basically if you take all the worst aspects of that and put it in a place. And when I'm talking about the worst aspect, it is like the problem with Myrtle Beach is it is once you're slightly outside of the coast, you're fine. Once you're about 10 miles into North Myrtle Beach, you're fine. But it's that coastline. The coastline that gets wiped off the planet every 5 years by a hurricane. Never really had time to grow back before it was hit again by a hurricane. It's just, it looks off. I despise Myrtle Beach for some reason.
Yeah, you went on a little bit of a tangent. I apologize. If you heard a beeping sound, that was my watch going off. I got a phone call, but I
didn't hear anything.
Okay. I don't think
I listen to what I'm saying, not you.
That's fair. Wait, hang on.
Sometimes having an ego works.
Tell me.
You good?
Yeah, sorry. No, I got distracted. I'm sorry. I'm really unprofessional today. I apologize. Invite me onto a podcast. I'm sitting here interrupting you about not paying attention. God, I'm never going to invite you.
We're fine. It's fine. Does Florida have any of those spots where you're just like...
Yeah, all of Florida.
The whole state?
Yeah, the whole state. Everywhere except for Disneyland and Disney World. Everywhere else,
the happiest
it's
place on earth.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like Disney World, right? And then everywhere else.
I will say, I had a grand old time at Universal Studios, but that's because of me. Because I love movies.
Yeah, Universal Studios is fun. Especially with like when they added all the roller coasters.
Oh, did you watch the Super Bowl a few weeks ago?
Yeah, of course.
Were you also taken aback a little bit by all the Paramount shit? Or it was like Paramount Plus, and then it was very clearly just the Disney Plus logo. Like it was like the same. It's like the same shade of blue. It's got like the swoop.
I didn't even think about that. Oh my god, that is so funny.
It looks like they're about to get sued. Like you couldn't parody Disney Plus that well, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't really paying attention, honestly.
And the whole time they keep playing these ads, and Jake was over here because I think we were recording something. And we were watching it. It was like, what does Paramount own? And we had to look it up because we were like, I haven't seen the mountain and those stars come in before a movie in like 10 years. You know?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I didn't even thought about that.
And what we discovered was like, it was like mostly Michael Bay movies.
I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna. What does Paramount own? Let's see. They own.
Sad thought that we're not going to see the Fox logo really anymore.
I thought they were using it for like rated R stuff.
They are. They're still using it, but like not as the level we used to see it.
Dude,
it's like they become Paramount and THX as well. Like they're also like you don't hear the
Oh
in
yeah,
front of movies
dude.
anymore.
Someone posted something online the other day that was like, "You're old, but are you this old?" And it was the GHS logo.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I guess I am."
That
there's two sounds that I love, and one of them is the THX logo. It's great. The other one is I forget what it is, but like when they like promote like the audio equipment that they're using, that sound that plays before any movie in a theater.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's just like, these are the speaker system or whatever thing. And that those two things, I was like, I loved hearing both of those in movie theaters. And then now movie theaters don't exist.
I'm gonna date myself a little bit here. Do you remember? I don't remember what production company it was, but do you remember like the cosmic one? Oh, Orion. You remember Orion? I don't think they exist anymore, but like,
I remember the logo.
yeah, and there was like the P one too. That like the lines would like form a P. Oh,
Lines would form a P. There's so
that
many
one's
old.
older.
There's
That's a really old one. But like the Orion wasn't. I think like 90s. I'm gonna say early 2000s, late 90s.
there's
When they were still
so
around.
there's so much of those like movie studios and stuff that didn't even go under. They were just bought by other studios. You know, because like that was the name of the game for a while. Was just like,
Oh yeah.
it was just like, get big enough that you were purchased by a larger company.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of those smaller companies were.
Or
I say
you get into the case of Quibi, which was a spectacular failure. Which it was a spectacular failure, but in the best way possible, which was, it was fun to watch. It was like a fireball or a train wreck. We were just kind of encapsulated by it.
you're like, what?
The because it was the guy behind Pixar, wasn't it? That was.
I think so.
that was
Yeah.
like, we're gonna make this other social media platform with quick bite content or whatever. And then from the get go, I was like, this doesn't look great. From the very beginning, I was like, hey, you're trying to get into obnoxiously saturated market. There's so many fucking streaming services nowadays.
Oh my god. It's
The like, it's at the point where I'm rotating them to be like,
well,
I'm gonna binge this and then I'll watch this later. And
there's like Vine #2, right? Like, aren't we like at the point where like social like old platforms are coming back? Am I gonna see like another version of MySpace? I get it. Facebook is technically MySpace, but like,
no, you know what? I saw an article about this, Matt. There's
is
a
AOL coming back? Are we gonna get the Messenger?
Matt, you're gonna feel old, but there's some. I'm gonna get this wrong, but it was some teenager who had he was rebuilding MySpace from the ground up as like a coding project, and it looks exactly like MySpace.
Oh,
I want to, let's see if I can pull this up here.
MySpace and 4chan, man. Oh,
MySpace remade. I don't know.
I think 4chan still exists.
Does it?
Yeah.
No, I think it got shut down because of
I
like
think it's shut down.
illegal shit.
Yeah. Well,
A
yeah.
teenager has remade MySpace and everyone is loving it. Thank you,
Oh
internet.
my god, I need to look. I'll look this up later. Oh, I got the nostalgia feeling I get from just
coded
looking at
entirely
it.
by an 18-year-old. Space Hay is what it is.
MySpace still exists. It's just like an amusement sharing platform now. It's more like a Spotify.
Is it? Is that what it is now?
Yeah, that's kind of what it became. I mean, MySpace was always like, MySpace had like a huge. I mean, at least for me, MySpace had like a huge following for music. Granted, this was again early 2000s. I was listening to like Green Day and shit, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna post my Green Day stuff on MySpace. So like,
Glad you just
like,
yes, that was everyone in the year 2000.
Yeah, Blink-182, Green Day, Sum 41. That's my stuff, man. This is my jams. This is my jams.
Dude,
Nirvana.
I've gotten ridiculously into punk music recently.
Oh, back then, so like punk rock is such a funny phrase to me now because that's still a relatively newer phrase. Because back then, punk, like Green Day, Sum 41, Blink-182, all those bands were considered punk and not punk pop.
Yeah.
But now they're called punk pop, which is a weird thing to call them because still consider them as punk. Because they were considered punk back then. That was like the genre. But punk is a little bit more it's older. I think punk is definitely like punk is more like 90s and then like 80s
Did
kind
I
of music.
did I tell you how I woke up the other morning? by complete accident.
But
I have my phone set to just like play Spotify in the morning to like as my alarm, and it just started playing my like songs, and the first thing that came up was a metal/punk version of "Kiss from a Rose" by Seal.
oh my god!
And it's actually pretty great. It's a pretty great song, but it made me think. I was like, what is this? What is this distorted song from Batman Be Forever playing? It was the most weird song to wake up to. I was like, I don't know how this starts my day. Does this put me in a good mood or a bad mood? I'm just confused more than anything. It's weird to me that his biggest song was just the song that was written for Batman Forever. It was Forever, wasn't it? Or was it? It wasn't Batman and Robin.
I think it was Batman. Yeah. Granted, out of all three of those, like
the worst Batman movie until Batman and Robin came out.
Yeah, Batman and Robin really bad.
You keep fading in and out. You.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll work on it. My mic is like on super condenser mode, so like it's like a really thin cone right now, and I need to work on it.
Okay. I have.
So like,
that's one.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry if I start fading in and out. I'm sorry. Please let me know so the podcast doesn't sound like shit when I look at my phone for 2 seconds.
Dude, I was yelling at Nico. Not yelling, but when him and his brother came to do the podcast, and Nico was literally talking in front of the microphone. Like he would lean forward past it, and I'm like, the whole point is to be in front, behind the mic. And I kept telling him this, but then I heard the audio of it later, and I was like, oh, this sounds completely fine. And I just sound like an asshole for yelling at him.
Dude, it's so funny how much people don't know, like how watching people who don't use mics every day like us to then use a mic and watch see how they use it.
Oh, I'll give it this. You and Jake are fucking professional with them. You know, like, you know how to talk. You know how to far to keep it. You know how loud you need to speak for it to pick you up. And like I have the advantage of like, I used to do a ton of stand up and stuff, so I'm used to holding a mic a lot. And I that's something I'm gonna get right back to doing the second COVID is behind us, because it's so much fun because I get to write and I get to perform without any of the bullshit, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it is me on a stage with a microphone.
I always wanted to do that. I'm just generally not funny enough for that stuff.
You're funny enough to be on this show, which is not saying a lot.
Thanks for the vote of confidence, Johnny. I'm kidding. I'm so kidding.
I was simultaneously like trying to boost your confidence while knocking me down a peg. It's fine.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And somehow it just became insulting you even more. I'm really bad at consoling people, I'm realizing.
Words. What are they? I don't know them. I was gonna say something, and the brain was like,
I'll give you this. You're a great I think your biggest comedic strength is actually physical comedy.
Oh,
Like some of the times we're on face cam or something and you move like to like sell a joke or a point or something, and it's pretty hilarious.
thank you.
Me, I'm the exact opposite. I don't move for shit.
All I ever do is move. Kind of like, I cannot not move because I got ADHD. I got the movement in my bones.
I mean, I'll say I fidget all the time, but like whenever it comes to like for some reason, anytime I'm trying to like do a joke or I'm doing a theater show or something, I don't have any problems like standing still. Or because I've met people who like have like severe ADD or ADHD, and they just are in a constant sway or movement, even when we need to be perfectly still, and they don't realize it. And I never blame them for it. It's like it's not your fault. It's just I'm lucky that I'm at, where I get the energy to be able to. I'm dumb enough that I get the stupid fun energy, and then I'm also can still like function. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm. For me, it's like I can move stand still, but other times I'm like constantly doing that. Like I'm swaying back and forth. I'm moving around. My favorite joke is to do the whatever. There's a name for it. My favorite thing to do to somebody is when somebody's talking to me, and like, like something happens behind me, and I stare back at whatever's behind me, and look back at them, and then do like the head like tilt, like the back and forth, like the what, what? Like that's my absolute favorite thing to do. I love it so much. It hurts my neck every single time, but I do it every single time.
Dude, did I tell you I ate shit the other day? Did I tell you about this? My head injury.
Well, that's pretty gross. I mean, why would you? I mean, I get this.
No. Did I tell you about this head injury?
No, what'd you do?
It was stupid. It was one of those.
Did you think too hard?
No, that never happens. I just got done doing a scene, and I had walked off stage, and it was like still had like the energy of the scene going, and it was hot, so I was just gonna like lean my head up against like the brick wall because it was cold. And for whatever reason, like since I still had the energy and was hopping around a little bit or like moving around a little quick, I still had momentum when my brain was like, I'm going to lean my head against this wall. And so when I went to lean my head forward, I still had the momentum of my body, and my face just plowed into this brick wall.
Oh.
And it was one of those things where I was just like, immediate regret. Immediate regret came from not only regret, but embarrassment, because there was like 4 people around me, and I just turned around, held my head, and slowly sank to the floor. It was like, that was a new mark of stupid for me. It was like, you somehow managed to bash your own head into a wall. I had a headache for the rest of the day.
I've done stuff like that before, but like I do the hands in the like, even if I have intense pain, I'll like put my hand on my head, because that's kind of like everybody does. You're like,
For some reason,
if somebody sees me, I'll make complete eye contact, then I'll put my hands in my pocket, put my head down, pretend to kick a rock, and walk away.
I just started laughing
every single time. I do not know why I do it.
This is why I was talking about physical comedy.
Like in my brain, it's like, you gotta do this. I don't care if you're in pain, you gotta do this. And then I'll walk off into like a bathroom or like walk away in like 5 minutes, but but it's never like, if it's painful enough, that's the only thing that exists for like 10 seconds. Like that's the thing I'm gonna be focusing on. But if it's like just not painful enough, and I see somebody do it, I'm like, I'm gonna at least turn, because I think in like the split second, I'm like, I'm gonna turn this embarrassment into a comedy, because like I don't really get embarrassed all that often. If I do something stupid, I know it's something stupid.
I know.
At least I can make a joke out of it.
I get that. I'm the same way, where I'm like, listen, the rules of what's the Animaniacs lines, like wheel of morality, turn, tell us what lesson we've learned.
Yeah.
I have that, but it's like the wheel of comedy, where it's like eventually I'm gonna keep rolling this, making jokes, and like the point of comedy is like someone's always getting hurt or you're making fun of something. And sometimes you're gonna roll it, you're gonna spin the wheel, it's gonna land on bankrupt, and you're gonna be the butt of the joke. And that's the way I'd look at it.
Isn't it like tragedy plus time? That's like the
tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Yeah.
That there's conjecture for that.
That kind of holds no merit, honestly.
There are certain rules that you have to like, especially when writing stuff. There are certain rules to like what structures a proper, no matter what you're writing. Like I was talking about goat earlier, and like GOTE, I think is how it's done, for when you're breaking down a character and acting, or but with comedy and stuff is like, there are comedians who just, their thing is that they make jokes about a topic way too soon, but like it's their brand. It's like the thing, you know. It's like
yeah.
It's the difference in like, if you remember the old like rumor that like Mr. Rogers had like full of tattoos and was like a military sniper and stuff. And I don't know how much of that was true and what was bullshit, but like, you remember all those things?
I think so.
It's like that because the reason that's shocking is because it's literally Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
It's like that with that kind of stuff too, where it's like, if your brand is that you're a raunchy asshole, like, you're still fine. Like, you're still, people aren't going to be upset when you're an asshole, because
people are coming for that. Like Daniel Chosh, his jokes are like, they're usually like ill-hearted jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff is really funny. Like my favorite bit that he does is not even a joke. During one of the sessions, he was like, a Libra can walk. No, it was what was that? Oh, Jaguar. Jaguar can run up a tree half its body weight. I don't have a joke for that yet, but at least if you don't find me funny, at least you come home and think, I learned something today. And I died laughing for that. I'm like, that is so, because it's like, number one, it was so stark contrast to all the dirty whatever jokes he sometimes doing. Sexist jokes he was doing earlier. It was just like left field, and to me, those always make me laugh the most. It's just like the wild left field that you just couldn't see coming.
The things that always make me laugh is anything with immediate comebacks. So it's like, if someone else says something to you and you have an immediate comeback to that, I will die laughing at that. Like, where it's like you didn't miss a beat and it was going. That's the kind of stuff that always makes me laugh.
I have a friend like that who's so quick-witted with comebacks and stuff. And like I aspire to be like that. Just like, you make a joke and you're like instant quick-witted comeback. Ugh.
As we're talking about have you ever, what's the stupidest way you've injured yourself?
Oh my god. Oh,
I take
let's see where we begin. Oh my god, dude, there's so many. I got it's not stupid, but it's like how I got physically ran over.
Okay. Now I'm curious.
Yeah, I was on my buck going down the street, coming home, smoking some cigars I wasn't allowed to be smoking, but it's okay. I was 15. No, shh, don't tell my dad.
Internet, go.
We were coming home. I was coming home, and I was going to cut through the community, but we had a community center back in my old town. I lived in a relatively small but pretty rich town.
Also, smoking cigars at 15 might be the most Florida thing I've heard today.
Most what?
Most Florida thing I've heard today.
Okay. You know what? You say that was in Jersey.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I only lived in Florida. I'm only been living in Florida for like 3 years, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Hmm, fair enough. But you are a Florida man. I consider
before
you
that,
Florida
I lived
man
in
now.
Jersey. So I was riding my bike home from the community house. And I didn't see the truck come by. He was driving, smacked right into the side of the truck, went underneath the truck, and the first word I said was, "Is the truck okay?" Literally the first word that ever came out of my mouth, "Is the truck okay?" As if my physical body making a dent into the car, and that was my concern.
Yeah, but I'm like that with a lot of stuff where it's like, yeah, my body will heal probably.
But yeah, listen.
I think the dumbest thing, Alex and Nico can attest to this, that this happened. But we were all swimming in a pool when we were younger, and we were all like doing flips and jumping off dive boards and stuff into the pool and stuff. And at one point I did like a kind of half split or whatever, where like I threw my legs up and like throw my arms out to like touch my toes to my hands and whatnot, like one of those moves. And I landed. I essentially did a belly flop with my balls, where it was just all of the force that I had created in momentum. The first point of contact was directly on my nuts. And I almost drowned because it was so painful.
I've done those when you're grinding on a rail and like you fall, but every single time it hits my butt crack. And one time I think I went to my buddy because I thought I was bleeding. I guess it was just like sweat or just like pain. You ever get that pain where oh my god, my ADD is kicking in, by the way. I'm sorry, guys. You ever get that pain where like it feels like it feels like something's wet and you feel like there's blood there, but it's just nothing.
Yeah,
it's kind of just general pain. I've had that a few times when I'm skateboarding, but I never hit my balls. I always hit my butt crack, like straight crack to rail, almost every single time, and
it's a perfect fit.
So unbelievably painful every single time. I think I went to one of my buddies. I'm like, "Is my butt bleeding?" It's like I was so much pain.
One time I was working with a Dremel with a cutting blade on it, and it was just spinning, and whatever piece I had in my hand either flew out of my hand or shifted weird, and I went straight over my hand with the Dremel, and I immediately dropped both of the things, clenched my fist, looked up to the sky, and was like, "Okay, let's assess the situation. I don't feel anything, which means this is either way better or way worse than what I think it's gonna be."
I've cut myself with a
and luckily it was just a slight scratch, but I was almost certain that I had just like cut straight like across, like slashed my hand.
I've had feelings where I thought I cut my finger off.
I was just like
using the bandsaw. Almost every single time I cut myself with using the bandsaw, I'm like, "Oh, it's my finger's gone."
I don't care who you are and how many times you've used it. The bandsaw is the most or not bandsaw.
Oh my god!
Circular or a table saw. Fuck. Is the most terrifying saw you're ever gonna use.
No, table saw I'm fine with. The bandsaw I'm more scared of, because bandsaws, like, you gotta get close and personal with those guys, because you're not cutting like normal pieces of wood. Because I mean, you're for like how I cut stuff with a table saw, I always use a block of wood.
Yeah, that's the way you're supposed to do it.
That's the way I've always ever done it. That's the way I've been taught to do it. With a bandsaw, I don't do that. I use my fingers, which also, guys, don't do that. Get it up. It's the same concept. Get a block of wood, use it. I don't care if you're doing circle or pat. I don't care if you're making, if you're trying to like to smooth it out, make it like a circle or a curved edge. Yeah, either use gloves or tiny thin blocks of wood that will protect your fingers.
Listen,
I've cut myself so many times with a bandsaw.
Listen, yeah, when it comes to tools, you only make the same mistake a certain number of times.
Unless you're using a hammer.
Yeah, that one always sucks. But,
that
eventually, like, you can only like cut a finger off 10 times.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's my so. And we say this as we are two men with all 10 fingers, as far as I'm aware.
All 11.
Oh, what? Okay.
That was a bad joke.
It was quick though. I'll give you that.
Thank you. It wasn't good. Again, I'm not quick-witted in the good way. I'm just not witted. I'm
Listen,
just quick.
You're better than some people we know who. There is an artistry to the pun, and there's an even greater artistry to the bad pun.
Dude, I love bad puns though.
And we know a few people who.
Yeah, we do know a few. We're not gonna call them out names right now, but we do know a few people who.
I'll call him out. It's Curtis.
Yeah, Curtis. He is master. I love.
Come on the podcast, dude.
Yeah, seriously, I'm surprised he hasn't been on yet.
Yeah. Thank you for covering this week, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was like, dude, anytime.
I had
you can always
another
message me.
Yeah, it's true. I had a guest this week who was like, "Hey, is it okay if we push it?" And I was like, yeah, that's fine." And I was like, it was totally not fine. I was like, "Who am I gonna find?" And it's like, if I skip a week, it's not the biggest deal. I do want to try to do weekly or bi-weekly at the latest. I never want to go over that threshold of that.
Hey, you're gonna make it up by being in my Let's Plays.
Okay, that's fine.
Speaking of that, I'm actually gonna do a Stardew Valley Let's Play now.
Oh, should we talk about Stardew?
Those fuckers convinced me to play. I don't know. I like Stardew because it's fun. We should definitely. We're gonna have like a tangent about Stardew, by the way. I wasn't gonna answer that because I already knew. I was already like in my brain. I was like, I'm already committed. I'm already committed to this conversation.
Stardew time.
No one's stopping me now.
Welcome to the Stardew podcast.
Yeah, welcome to the Stardew podcast.
I know we're a bit late on this train, but like I love farming simulator type games. Like Animal Crossing is one of my favorite game series of all time.
Oh, dude,
and Stardew is a lot like it, but a lot different at the same time.
Stardew, for me, Stardew hits the itch of what was that game called? I used to play it all the time. I forget. Oh, Harvest Moon. Duh.
Yeah.
Stardew hits the Harvest Moon almost on the head.
It has to be intentional because it looks.
Oh, it is. Oh,
so much like Harvest Moon.
Yeah, it's like a 2D Harvest Moon. It's freaking fantastic. And the new Harvest Moons suck, but that's because they actually changed developer teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think Harvest Moon makes I don't remember the name of the game.
You know exactly.
I'm not even gonna try to remember.
You know exactly what's gonna happen out of this is like once we kind of move a little bit from Stardew, everyone's gonna get back into Animal Crossing, and then we're gonna have to start a group chat where we message each other our stock prices every day.
Oh my god, yeah.
Where it's like, how many bells you get for these turnips?
I just so like the people who are playing Stardew right now, they've been playing it a lot, and for me new, we're less likely to get burned out. Because we're taking breaks.
Yeah, two of our friends have been playing it nonstop for about 3 days now.
Because that's
or was it? It's 4 days.
Because like they're like they don't really not that they don't have like anything else to do, but like their schedule is really free right now.
Yeah,
more free than ours. So like they have the time to spend on it, and they're gonna get burned out way faster than we are.
That's one of the great things about being perpetually busy.
Yeah,
I don't get burned out on anything.
No, in fact, like I'm kind of getting the itch to like play Overwatch again because I've played Overwatch once this entire week. That's a rarity for me. Like Overwatch has always been my pastime, but like recently,
and for with everything going on, Matt is very good at Overwatch.
I'm okay. I wouldn't say very good.
Okay, Matt. If we're comparing, if you're comparing yourself to other people we play with who are fucking grandmasters and shit, for the average person that isn't that, you're good at Overwatch.
Thank you.
You saw all the Blizzard announcements, right?
I did. Yeah.
A lot of Overwatch. We know Overwatch 2 is going to take a long time, but like I'm fine with it.
Oh, can I go on a tangent about Overwatch real quick?
Please do.
All right, cool.
Fill the airtime. So
Overwatch 2, there's a strong theory going on that Overwatch 2 may. I mean. It's kind of up in the air. I'm totally down for it. And I'll explain my reasons why in a second. But Overwatch 2 is looking like it might switch from 6 players to 5 players.
Okay.
So there's gonna be one tank roll, like the if you guys are a fan of Overwatch or know the
So it would
game,
be
that,
minus one tank.
the minus one tank. There was a what's called a 1-3-2 combo, which had 3 DPS. Instead, they're gonna take out one DPS roll completely and fill it with the tanks.
Okay.
So that could theoretically work. It's just like tanks like Roadhog and Diva exist, but like granted, they'll just get buffs. And it, I'm totally down for it because my biggest problem with Overwatch, because again, I'm more of a first-person shooter. I prefer Valorant, I prefer Rainbow Six Siege, but I just like Overwatch because it's fun and I can turn my brain off.
Yeah. Fun game to just play with friends.
It really
I think
is.
that's why we've been playing it for so long. It's just
absolutely.
It is our
It's
just like
boring by
hop
itself.
on when nothing else is going on game.
But like there's too many abilities in that game. There's too many abilities that neglect other abilities, too many abilities that do this and do this and do this, and there's so much clutter on the screen that nothing ever feels impactful. For example, Valorant. I'm gonna use this as an example. Valorant, like, abilities feel impactful.
Yeah, because you only get a set number.
You only get a set number. You only get a certain amount of uses. They feel like that and they cost money too. There's a repercussion for using them.
Yeah.
Overwatch, they're all on a cooldown, which is fine.
Which even when you get into like a high, like once you have enough, even if you have enough money in Valorant to like buy for several rounds, you still only can use the like Phoenix's wall or
that amount
or whatever, like once per round.
Yeah, there's characters like Phoenix and Sage that only have it once per round. Yeah, and like Jet, she has like a passive ability which she can hover, but like there's a penalty for it. There's a movement penalty and like the accuracy penalty. I mean, but and also the ults too in that game versus Overwatch. Like the ults in that game matter so much, and like they're also like completely avoidable versus Overwatch. Like the ults in those games really do matter, but like the individual ult, not so much. It's more like you have to combo ults together. So like taking out one person can drastically change the game. It'll change the Overwatch is a little bit more of a slower paced game. It feels like it's faster paced because Valorant can be very slow paced. CS:GO can be very slow paced, but like it's just nothing ever really matters. So everything kind of just feels like a little bit like not sluggish, but like. Oh. Sorry, I got a phone call. I was trying to make a point, and then my brain is pulling too much off at one point, and like it's not pulling it together. Basically, what I'm trying to say is like there's too many abilities. There's too much clutter on the screen. There's too much to worry about. Now I got to worry about this character's abilities. Now I got to worry about this character. Now this character's on a cooldown, and how long is this character going to have their abilities for? And then like, oh, now I'm going to use this ability. Oh, never mind. I got neglected by somebody else. Versus like Valorant, it's like it's almost like a game of like a little bit of a game of chess. Like, well, I have this many abilities, and I have to use them to counteract against this character.
And like Valorant, you don't really, or Siege, you really don't have to worry about like playing to counter the other team too much.
Exactly.
You can just kind of play like the characters like you main, like the characters you like, or your characters like if you have one in each category that you prefer to play, that's like you're pretty set. You're pretty good.
All right, this is gonna be controversial because everybody's really big a fan of Overwatch, and this is gonna be controversial. This is gonna be like controversial. I can't say the word. To say, just in our general group alone, but I'm gonna say it. Overwatch in a competitive esports scene doesn't work. It just doesn't because there are so many counters to each. Overwatch has a balancing nightmare it has to try to figure out versus games like Valorant and Siege. And CS:GO have a base set of a mechanics first, and then awareness second. Mechanics are the biggest thing you need to get your huddle over. So you need to be good at aiming for all three of those games. That is the core function of a first-person shooter is the fact that you can aim. Then comes which is also just as important. Not that it's not important at all. It's just mechanics are the most important. And the second most important is the game awareness. In Overwatch, you can play characters like Doomfist and characters like Reinhardt that really don't require any aiming, or Moira, for a fact, doesn't require zero aim almost.
You're kind of right, because I play Overwatch differently than I play pretty much any other shooter. Like when it comes to Siege or Valorant stuff, I like long range, but when it comes to Overwatch, I get as close as I can to people.
I'm not trying to say that's a bad thing for like Overwatch to have that like characters, because that kind of includes everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that includes every playstyle, which is awesome. It's a fun game. It's a fun game to play with your friends, because your friends who may not be good at playing aim heroes can play Mercy.
It's just not
or
a good
can play
competitive.
Reinhardt. It's just not a good competitive game.
What else? What?
What's up? No good.
I was gonna say, what else did Blizzard announce out of their thing? Is it like?
Oh, can I be honest? I didn't watch BlizzCon. I only watched the Overwatch part, and that was it. So I have no idea. Oh no, Diablo 4. Diablo 4 got a trailer.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be on our phones?
Oh, I forgot about that.
I still laugh about that clip from that. What was that? That was like Flip Tom 2018 or something. 19.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, it's like, don't you guys have phones? I'm like,
excuse me. No, it's gonna have a pay to win gambling scene or spend money on this game. See, do you remember that in Diablo 3? Oh, dude, Diablo's have had some bad couple of years recently.
Dude, they hate that series like Nintendo hates Metroid. World of Warcraft
started about Nintendo. Do not. You know how I feel about the recent Nintendo Direct. I've been steaming for the past couple of weeks.
Hey, Matt, don't worry.
Not to change the subject.
Hey, Matt, don't feel bad, because it's next on my list. World of Warcraft got like the Burning Crusade for Classic expansion.
Yeah.
Which I find I'm actually kind of cool with that. Nothing else really piqued my interest that much. But on the Nintendo Direct side of things, did you see my Twitter?
No.
I put something like, overall it was pretty solid. It was okay. Like, the things I liked about it was like, Splatoon 3 I'm pretty excited for. I'm really glad Ninja Gaiden is getting more love. Like that's a big one. That collection I'm probably gonna pick up.
That I did get excited for.
I flipped my shit at Pyra. Like, cause
my god. Hell yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I love Xenoblade so much, and like that franchise, and I was and a lot of the community was like, we're hoping Rex gets into Smash at some point, and technically he is there, but it's Pyra as the main character, which I find pretty cool. Which what I was expecting was going to happen was we would get Rex, and then you would be able to like switch out the different blades, like Pokemon Trainer or like Joker, hybrid with Pokemon Trainer.
Can I say something that's gonna kind of sound stupid?
What?
Don't we already have Rex?
Yeah, no, not in Smash. We have a costume for Rex in Smash.
I could have sworn that Rex got added to Smash.
Nope, he did not. We have Shulk.
I know we had Shulk for a while.
Yeah, we had Shulk since 4. And
I was added during one of the Ultimates.
The problem is Shulk is I used to main Shulk in 4. I can't play him in Ultimate. It's just impossible. The way they changed using his Monado arts, it's like it used to be just like a set number of clicks that your brain would just auto do if you're a Shulk, if you played a lot of Shulk. But the way they do it in Ultimate is there's that stupid wheel.
Oh my god, talk about a game that requires a lot of balancing.
It's a game with 70 something characters.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All do different things.
I would also say that I was really excited for the Capcom Arcade Stadium.
Oh, so what was I?
I was like, oh, that's cool. I get to play those games.
There's a few indie titles that were announced in between that I'm excited for. A couple JRPGs. I'm like, hell, I'll play them.
Octopath getting a sequel. That's huge.
Octopath getting a sequel. That's really big. Octopath was a fantastic game. And then they announced something.
Now let's get into why you're angry.
I almost listen. So we're gonna talk about Legend of Zelda. I'm just gonna say it straight up.
I want to say a lot of Zelda.
I am probably one of the maybe in the server. I honestly I can probably say I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan. I'm a really big Legend of Zelda fan. I played every single one of them. I love them to death. including the shitty ones like Spirit Tracks, stuff like that. They're not bad, right?
Tracks isn't bad. It's just there.
But I'm a really big Legend of Zelda fan. 3D Zelda, I just didn't enjoy because the mechanics were shit, and the dungeons were alright, but it's just like the main thing that pissed me off was like the stamina was fucking Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword is
the weakest out of all the 3D Zeldas. And you know what? People can argue Majora's Mask it wasn't great. I loved Majora's Mask. I'm a little bit biased because a lot of Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time are like part of my childhood. That's when I was a kid. I was playing them.
Well,
I'm a little bit biased with those.
The rumors that everyone was like hoping for was that we were going to get like a 3D All Stars, but with Zelda. Where it was like
we still might get that.
Okay,
and that's
cool.
The saving grace.
What I find hilarious was like how they came out beforehand. It was like, yeah, so Breath of the Wild 2 gonna take a bit.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, well,
he started as I'm sure you guys are respecting Breath of the Wild 2. Like, okay, cool, right.
Listen, I'm all for
Thanks.
just take as long as you need with that game. Take as long as you need. Just
it'll be good. It's not. I get it might suffer a little bit from Majora's Mask. Like it looks like from just the trailer alone, it looks pretty dark. Which I'm totally okay with. But like, kind of alrighty. It was like the lead up to the kick in the balls, right? It was like
It was like you were watching it charge.
Yeah, you see the charge. Listen, it's gotten to your knees, and you're like, oh, she's about to go down, and not a fun way. And then they announce Skyward Sword HD remastered.
I'm okay with it. What I found was a weird choice was the fact to like sell it as promotional. It's like you can still use the motion controls, the worst part of Skyward Sword.
What everybody wanted was more motion controls for something they use all the time. It sounds just trying to find a reason to be like, hey, remember the Wii? That was fun, right?
Remember that console we had with like 2,000 games on it?
Remember, yeah.
Oh my gosh, and then remember its sequel console that had like 200 games?
Oh, yeah. You remember that sequel console we marketed horribly? Yeah, that one.
Listen, the Wii sold great. The Wii U did not. The Wii U's greatest triumph is that I can play Wii games on it.
But the Wii U was a great concept. It was a great start of the Switch. But a few things they did wrong. Number one, they marketed as it's the way when you hear Wii U, you think it's an expansion pack on the Wii.
Oh yeah, it's like you expect like the Rumble packs from the N64.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, okay, or like the N64 CD player, which it had a CD player.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was not.
That was never released in America though, was it?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't remember
if
it.
Has,
I remember my buddy having it.
I've never seen one.
I remember my buddy having it, but I remember it being a pretty big deal. Oh, you know what? Actually, better yet, and maybe it's gonna fit. You'll get this one a little bit more. It's more like the GameCube's. If it sounded more like the GameCube's Game Boy, the GameCube Game Boy player. You remember that?
Oh yeah, where it was like you could play.
It was like a disc you put in, and like you put it on the bottom of the GameCube.
It's literally a disc that you have to put in the GameCube, and then you have a connector cord that you plug into the GameCube and into your Game Boy Advance, and then you could play Game Boy Advance games on.
That was like the later generations. The early generation was like a physical thing you had to put underneath the GameCube, and you had to put the cartridge inside the GameCube.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you ever had, because I remember the later generation, which was like the cord you plug into like your controller.
That's what they
like it snapped
for, like,
on
4 swords and stuff.
Yeah.
The and they had something like that with the N64, where if you had Pokemon Stadium, you could plug this thing into your N64 controller and play.
Oh, I remember that.
Red or blue on the TV, and it was the coolest thing.
Did you ever play Final Fantasy? Like the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicle games?
Crystal Chronicles? No, I haven't played those.
Because you could play with your friend. You could play with your friends with the GameCube controllers, and like they could do different things. It was super fun.
Dude.
Oh, could we just call this podcast the ADD podcast? It's like literally 20
Rename
seconds
it.
ago. We were
Future me, rebrand the podcast.
We were talking about how we hated the fact that Twilight Princess. That's why I would love Twilight Princess to be on the Switch. The fact that
dude, that's what
Skyward Sword was on.
Why did we get Skyward Sword before we got? I guess because Twilight Princess got remastered for Wii U, didn't it?
It did. So here's the ongoing theory of the reason why they announced, and the reason why I'm upset, but I'm not that upset. The reason why they announced Skyward Sword to come first.
Because it's the only one that's not going to be in the 3-pack.
Because it's the only one that's not going to be in either the 3-pack or 4-pack. There's also Majora's Mask. But
Ocarina, Majora, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker.
Wind Waker, yeah.
Okay, so it could be all four.
Technically, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker were both a GameCube title, and then Twilight Princess got ported to the
For some reason, my brain I forget that it was ever on GameCube. My brain is like it was a Wii game.
No one
that's
ever
how I played it.
GameCube. Yeah, no one remembers.
It was like the same thing happened with Breath of the Wild, because yours like remember this. This is on the Wii U. Yeah, this is on the Wii U.
Yeah,
although no one plays it on.
Wind Waker was such a Wind Waker was one of those games that like was so. It's so fondly looked over now, but back in like when the GameCube was released, everybody was upset that Wind Waker was a thing because it was too cartoony.
Yeah,
and it was a complete departure from how Nintendo branded its Zelda games.
Mm-hmm.
And like even like the GameCube demo, they showed off like if I remember, it was like Link versus Bowser, and Link versus Ganon, and it was like it looked like a 3D version of Ocarina, like a more up to date version of Ocarina, and everybody was like, I want that. And then Wind Waker released.
I think Wind Waker might be my favorite out of like either Wind Waker or Twilight Princess. I was never huge on Ocarina or Majora's Mask.
Ocarina might be my favorite.
If I had to rank them, it would probably go Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Ocarina, Majora for 3D Zeldas. Oh, I forgot about Breath of the Wild. Put Breath of the Wild at the top. You're fine.
Breath of the Wild, I don't know. Ocarina for nostalgia, but Breath of the Wild just in general, it's just an amazing game.
It's a good game.
Not just a Zelda game in general, just an in general amazing game.
I just wish the only thing I've ever wanted out of the Switch is just give us decent virtual console. Even if you want it to be this subscription-based service, make it like the way freaking Microsoft has been doing it. Their subscription service gives you a shitload of games.
I think Nintendo's a little worried about releasing because they like to release everything in groups, and I think Nintendo's a little worried about releasing all these like classic titles.
Listen, Nintendo,
they're gonna do it.
Nintendo is like the old hat movie producers where they don't want to adapt to the way things are going. They don't want to adapt to the way people are consuming media now, and they're gonna kick and scream at the fact that people are gonna do it anyway. So either let people give you their money, or they're just gonna emulate the games. Like, here's the thing: I bought the Super Nintendo Classic Edition because it was an option, because they gave me the ability to play those games legitimately.
Oh yeah, I have both the NES Classic and the SNES Classic.
They're great. I use them. Like, I can play Earthbound, Super Mario World, two of my favorite games of all time. And it's just this little thing that's on my desk. It's off to the side. It's not the size of a Signer block like the original was.
Yeah. I don't think Nintendo kind of stays with it. What I think Nintendo does is they try to innovate and make it completely different, and then like kind of stay with that trend that they set until they do something completely different again.
I'll agree with you. They do that with their hardware. They do that with their hardware. Because like the Wii U was like a weird concept that was kind of cool. Where it's like you have this iPad as a controller. The Wii was like, oh, motion controls. GameCube, we had the analog control triggers.
Switch in general.
And then the Switch, which I think is the accumulation. I think they made the smartest decision they probably could.
Oh my god, the Switch was an amazing idea.
They took their handheld market, which was soaring at the time, which was like the here's the thing: as many people that didn't buy the Wii U, everyone bought a 3DS, and everyone bought a DS before that. Grandma had a 3DS and was playing Animal Crossing New Leaf.
What they needed to do. All right, sorry, go ahead, continue.
Then they had the Wii U, which no one was really. It wasn't selling well. There wasn't a ton of games for it. And what do? You don't just like neglect your console market. You combine the two. You had the best of both worlds. The Switch is such a good piece of hardware.
The amount of units that they sold on the Switch, moved on the Switch alone, it's actually kind of scary.
Especially post COVID. I mean, geez, the market that those things, the demand for those things was so high a year ago. And here's the thing: my Switch broke 2 weeks into quarantine, and I was so angry because Animal Crossing had just come out.
I believe I could, totally
and I had to send it to go get fixed, and it took like 2 weeks before I got it back. And and everyone was playing Animal Crossing. Everyone I knew was like playing Animal Crossing together. That's how many people bought that freaking Switch.
I could be totally wrong, but like I believe that the Switch has surpassed the PS4. Definitely the Xbox. I believe the Switch surpassed the PS4's total sales. I think
I believe
so. It almost surpassed the Wii. It didn't catch up to the quite phase that the Wii had when it was first selling consoles. But the Switch, as of is now, is even with the PS5 out. Granted, PS5, no one's really getting their hands on them.
Can I be honest? I forgot those were out. I forgot that those two consoles were out because there's not a lot I'm interested in yet.
But like the amount of like units the Switch has moved, especially because of COVID, but like the amount of units the Switch has moved, it's crazy. It's a crazy number, and it was all because Nintendo finally made a smart move. And it's also a crazy concept to think about. But like a lot of houses probably have, if they're like a general household, have like 1 to 2 switches.
Yeah, multiple probably switches. Are multiple switches because it is a handheld.
It's a handheld. So like there's multiple, like there's people who just buy like the Switch Lite and have like a main Switch.
Like unless you like, unless you're like a gamer house or you're like me, you and Jake. Or at some point, or like, if you're all in under one household, it doesn't. You probably don't have more than one Xbox or PS4, but
yeah,
everyone has a Switch. You know,
everybody has a Switch. Yeah, because it's like $300 sounds like a lot, and it's the similar price as the base Xbox and PS4 back when they were releasing.
Yeah, but. $300 is a lot better than $600.
Exactly, $300. I mean, especially with the Xbox and PlayStation now, I mean, they're both kind of starting at. I mean, PlayStation 4 starting at 400. PlayStation 5, I mean, starting at 400, and then going as high as 500. And Xbox is also 500, and going as low as 400. 300, I mean. But like, even so, the Switch is just the amount of first-party titles alone on the Switch you can get versus PlayStation, Xbox, and it's also the Switch doesn't play in the same generation as the Xbox and they're not in the console wars, Xbox and PlayStation.
No,
because they
killed their competitor years ago.
Yeah,
all right.
They did. Poor
when
Sega.
They killed Mario, popped a cap, and Sonic is what happened.
He did.
They destroyed their competition, and then these other two were busy fighting in the corner.
And now Mario just friendly enough allows Sonic to hit. It's like to kind of join his the Olympics.
Yeah,
that's it. It's like the kind of friend like you used to like beat up on, but you like let him hang out. He's like Sonic's like, hey Mario, can I like join you in like the winter games?
I'm pretty sure. I'm curious to see like what Nintendo's next. They have no reason to move to the next console cycle anytime soon. But they've always been out of tune with that stuff though, or like not out of tune, but out of sync with that stuff. But like, I feel like the Switch is gonna have a longer lifespan than most consoles.
The Switch doesn't. The Switch feels relatively like old, right?
Yeah, but still
This console
pretty.
came out in 2017.
Yeah, so it's only been 3-4 years.
I think 2017 or 2016. Definitely not 2018. No, 2017. Yeah, this console came out in 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's not old.
Now, what I could totally see happening is like what people were talking about with the Switch Pro becoming a thing, or like
That's that's gonna happen.
I mean we got the new 3DS, which is like, whew, that's a bad name.
That's another. Working at GameStop when I did it, just the Xbox and Nintendo had the worst
naming schemes
ever. The new 3DS, that's what they called it.
Well, here's the thing.
Imagine trying to sell that pre-owned.
Well, even like if DS, 3DS, then the new 3DS. I'll give them this. The Switch is a good name. That's a good name for this console.
Xbox had the Xbox X and then S. You try to say that in Jersey.
I can't tell you what the current Xbox is called.
Xbox Series X.
Okay, I'm not going to remember that. I'm never going to remember that.
Again, well, okay, why keep... I get the X because that's like, it's Xbox, like X for Xbox. But like Project Scarlet was a better name than Series X.
Yeah. Even like... there was
PlayStation's knocked it, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, they're solid. They're set. Just keep that going. Just
keep adding numbers.
Just keep adding numbers, and then I'll be 90 and be like, oh, my PS15 is here. And
And when they add a new model, they just either call it Slim or something else. I mean, there was a bunch of different versions of PS2 and PS3.
Yeah, there was. I didn't even realize that I had like the Slim version of the PS2 until I saw the normal version of a PS2.
So I'm gonna ask you this, and I'm gonna kind of I might actually blow your mind if you don't know this, and I'm gonna blow in some people's mind who don't know this, because again, video gaming is my thing. All right, ready? Yeah. So here, the reason this is I'm gonna go with the naming scheme real quick. Ready? 360. Why do they call it the 360?
Because you can turn it on any side.
Yes, kinda. You can only really turn it on two sides.
Well, two sides, but
why do they call the Xbox One the Xbox One?
It's a good question. I don't know that one.
They called the Xbox One because it had an import, an HDMI import and an HDMI output, so you can have an all-in-one system. So you can plug your TVs, your Switch, your PlayStation all into the Xbox.
I remember them advertising it like that.
That's why it's called the Xbox One.
Yeah, I remember them advertising like it like
now,
that.
Take that idea.
And then I was like, I'm never going to use it for that.
I actually did use that function a lot. It was actually really useful. And they actually allowed passport through. You had to turn off certain settings on the PS4, but like on the Switch and on your PC, it actually did allow pass through, which was really nice. Now take the Series X, right? And throw out those previous actually kind of smart naming schemes, because Series X makes no sense.
I don't like
they
it.
They just gave up.
Series X and Series S. I guess Series Small. I don't know for the smaller one. They're bad names.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, I'm trying to sit here and I'm trying to, because the reason why they never called it the 720, because that would make no sense.
Yeah, because it was stupid.
They actually should have called it. They actually should have called it the Xbox 180, because you can only turn it 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Actually, no. They should have called it the Xbox 90. You can only turn it 90 degrees. Because you can either do horizontal.
Are we talking about the Series X, or are we talking about?
No, we're talking about 360.
360.
You probably should have called it Xbox 90.
Yeah, you can turn it. Well, you can turn it on either left or right side. You just can't turn it upside down. It's the only thing. You
just can't turn it upside down.
I will say the ability to be able to put it on its side like that was the most useful feature of the 360. Because there was always like one spot on my shelf that was like, actually, I can't fit this, but if I turn it this way, it will work.
Here's a crazy thought experiment.
I love
Were you a not a thought experiment, but just like a crazy thing to like really kind of sit back and I was. Did you play the 360 horizontal, or did you play it vertical?
Played it horizontal.
I played it vertical.
Ooh.
Yeah. And here's why. Did you play 360 when it released, or did you play it when did you play it later on?
I played it later on, but I do have one of the older Xboxes, so I am running the risk of it red ringing at some point, but it has yet to.
So, the theory goes is it's all about the shape. The earlier 360 didn't look like it was meant to go horizontal, so everybody played it vertically, even though it had that feature. Even though this player really slid out better horizontal than vertically. But everybody played it vertically because that's kind of how it was advertised.
Okay.
Later on, the consoles looked made to be more like they were made vertically, so everybody started playing. I mean, horizontally, so everybody started playing horizontally.
Huh.
That's kind of crazy, right? And also, all the trailers and all the videos and the messaging that you would see back then, everybody would see it as a horizontal system. It's just a weird thing because I played 360 when released. I mean, I've been playing video games since the 90s. So like, what? Yeah.
When did 360 come out?
2005.
Okay.
2006. I think 2006. 2005 or 2006. It was one of those 2 years. I don't remember because I actually remember which year it was. It was like 2000. Yeah, it was mid 2000s. It wasn't even like early 2000s. It was mid 2000s.
When
because the Xbox is released in 2001. The original Xbox. I remember when the original Xbox released. The original Xbox released in 2001. Released with Halo. And then the PS2 I think released 2002. Maybe.
Speaking of nothing to do with that, when Splatoon 3 comes out, can we all really just get super into Splatoon?
Dude, I love Splatoon.
Splatoon's awesome. I love Splatoon. It's such a good. I like the art. I like the colors. I like anything that can use very big, bright, saturated, vibrant colors.
I like when people use violent colors.
I like it when the color orange just comes up and shanks me.
Dude, yeah, Splatoon has an aesthetic.
Stay away from that purple. It'll hang you. And don't get me started on what red's gonna do to you.
How long have we been recording, by the way?
Hour 20 minutes. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Sweet.
Nope. Okay.
I don't want to end it, but I also have to pee.
I also really have to pee.
Okay, cool.
So we're
gonna leave this in, right? At the end of the podcast, it's like,
yeah, we can wrap it up here. Like I like it to be about hour 20, hour 30.
Oh my god,
at minimum.
You know what, Johnny? I would love to do another podcast if you'd love to have me.
I would absolutely.
But I gotta say one thing though. We should probably have a middleman, because we both suffer from ADHD and ADD. And I gotta say, this podcast has been off the rails the entire time. Yeah, no, I love it. Please name this ADD podcast.
I'm just a very dumb man.
I don't think no, it's not you're being stupid. It's just we both suffer from a condition to where we don't stay in one place for too long, and that's not how stupid people think at all. Actually, that tends to show.
I think in the first podcast you asked me, it's like, do you have ADHD? And I was like, probably.
Yeah. I was like, you never really been tested for it, right?
No, they were like, probably, but like we're not gonna test you for this shit. So
I got tested twice. Once as a little baby Matt, and then the other one was 18 because I was like trying to get ADD medicine. And the guy was like, "Well, I mean, you're past the age of 18 now, so you have to get tested again." So I did the test. Guy came back. This is literally what he said to me. He came back and read the results. Goes, "Yeah, you got ADHD." I'm like, "No shit."
They I remember they were like, "Do you have any of these symptoms?" I'm like, "Is this I do all these things. Is this not normal? Is it not normal to think about 3 things at once and how to accomplish those things?"
Yeah, that's true. So if, like, the test that made me do was like on a computer, and it was like I don't remember it very well because again,
so like they didn't actually like diagnose me. I think they were just like, probably, but we're not gonna pursue this any further.
That's weird. They definitely diagnosed me.
So I've just listen. I've learned how to function at least somewhat.
When I was a kid, it was like ADD.
Now, granted, if I keep banging my head into walls, we'll see where that gets me. But
when I was a kid, like everybody was like, there was like a big concern. Like people were starting to like diagnose people as ADD when they didn't have ADD. And by the way, for people who can't even understand, who's like, oh yeah, no shit. The way we've been talking, I do suffer from ADD and ADHD.
Yeah. You've got it like legit. I've probably got a little bit of it.
I think everybody has a little bit of it, but like that's just how my mind works. It's that I physically like, because like how it works with me is like I'll be talking about something and then like my mind will immediately pick on another subject, and if I don't talk about that subject or jump to the other subject, it's gone forever. Yeah. It's just straight up gone forever.
I definitely have that.
Yeah. And granted, ADHD kind of suffers different things. I have ADHD.
What people don't see in the podcast is the fact that anytime I have a thought, I write it down so that I remember to talk about it in a couple seconds.
Johnny, see, I actually have to stop talking and hold on to that thought.
Yeah.
I literally have to stop talking and be like, okay, wait until my time's turn so I can bring back to the conversation we had before. I had a thought in it. When I interrupt, I have a thought. I've done that like 5 times in this podcast.
I love
I just shut up and just go back to what we were talking about before.
I love how much we get, like how me and you were both kind of mad at the beginning of this. Now we're both super hyper and super cool, having a good time.
One
of the great things about the podcast.
2 different levels. We started the podcast 2 different levels. Then start and end at 2 different levels. We start low and then we end high.
Low and high. That's the new motto. Put that on a shirt.
But we definitely need a middleman.
We can get the middleman. We can get somebody in here.
Yo, so
I feel like it would turn into me and you talking over this third person.
Probably.
So
I gotta. I mean, I also think it'd be really beneficial if you start using face cams. Just to kind of like
for the Discord ones, it would be a lot. So we might look into that. But then I got no, I'll do it. I'll make the graphics. I can pull. Luckily, Discord.
You don't have to take people's face. You don't have to take people's face. Like, I'm not saying go for it if you want to record like people's if people are okay.
Yeah, here's the thing. I can pull the key video from the gray tone behind everything on Discord, and then just replace everything with the graphic of my choosing or that I create. So
what I was saying is just use it for the video. Don't even use it the video. Just use it for the audio.
Just use it so that we're not we know when the other one's
talking over.
Talk. Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt to have a video. That way people can kind of put a face to the names.
We'll see.
I was just saying as in general, to kind of help everything, because I would help beneficially. But I have a question to ask you after the podcast, so don't kind of throw you. I don't what's the word? Throw you under the bus or force you to do anything. So I got a question after the podcast.
Okay, that's fine.
So we'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, but we'll wrap up here. All right, cool. Yeah, I also really gotta pee, so we'll pee. All right, let's wrap it up.
Thanks for joining in.
No problem. Oh, just plug your Matt's shits below. Just go watch him do stuff. He's funny.
Yeah.
Trust me.
That's debatable. All right.